name is Amy Smith. I'm the president of the Friends of the Library. I am not a quilter. I'm thrilled to have this exhibit. It's just fabulous. And I'm going to turn the evening over to Betty Hastings, who's our vice president, and this is her brainchild. It was her idea, and she had a vision, and completely orchestrated this with the help of some fabulous elves, my understanding.
Yes.
So without further ado, let me give you Betty Hastings.
Thank you. I need to thank a couple of people and then introduce the quilters, and then we're going to have an evening of demonstrations. I've got one woman coming who's doing the second demonstration, but I think we'll be all right. First of all, I need to thank Ruth Eifert, who is the director here at the library. Nothing gets done here without Ruth, and she was very hands-on. The reason we did this is this hanging system is new to us, and it's for pictures and photographs. But the brainstorm that Amy referred to is, why can't we hang quilts? We must have quilters in town. Well, we have 12, and you're going to meet 11 of them this evening. So this entire show represents 11 Georgetown women who are quilters. If I can find a man, we'll have him in the next show, because there are men who quilt, but I didn't find any for this show. I also need to thank my husband, my much abused, long-suffering husband. Bill was here every day this week while we put them up, took them down. Maybe the blue one, dear, the green one looks better. I'm going to take them out for an ice cream or something. Much deserved. The 11 of the quilters are here in the room tonight, and if you will allow, I'm going to be the first presentation because I have little guys who are dying to be part of it. I'm the last demonstration lesson tonight, and that will be about needle-turned applique. And if you're not a quilter and not familiar, those two gorgeous quilts in the back. The yellow one, which is called Needs Full Sun, and the one that's multicolored, which is called 9/12, are needle-turned applique. They're an example of cloth which is cut, small seam allowance, turned under. Looks very difficult. I'm going to show you an easy way to do it. But I'll show you while patience lasts. Lila, where are you?
Lila! Come on, Lila!
Okay, what's this, Lila? Hey, gotta let people see. What's this? Is this yours? What's on it? Vegetables. Okay. This is Lila Lou, age 2. Okay. Would you head over to Dad? Applique doesn't need to be elaborate, and it doesn't need to look like a Baltimore album. And this is here because himself here, whose name is Wyatt, and he is 7, designed this one himself. These are his drawings and his writing.
Yeah.
And I did the work, but we think Wyatt is going to be an executive when he grows up.
Yeah.
We have, what was the wall in my room we put your rejects on?
The Wall of Fame?
No, it was the wall of shame. Those are the ones he wouldn't let me put in.
Yeah.
All right.
Mistakes.
Thank you. So I am one of the quilters. I put my list down. May I steal, Michelle, may I steal your list? Okay, we don't want to forget anybody. My co-coordinator is Terry Crawford Pilati. And where have you gone? Here's Terry. Terry. Yep, come on up. Good idea, Beverly. Terry and her husband own that wonderful shop at 59 North Street, where you will see both wooden toys and gifts and Terry's quilts. These quilt racks, one here, 2 in the lobby, are made by Rick Pilati, and where's Rick? In the doorway. This is an all Georgetown show. And Terry is doing the first demonstration lesson, how to do a log cabin and then change it a million different ways. Don't anybody scramble those. Thank you. Okay. Mary Gann. Mary is new to Georgetown, but she moved over the line from Topsfield to Boxford. Boxford. I saw Mary's work at Merrimack Valley Quilters and absolutely had to ask her if she would be in the show. It is there behind Sue Clay and Beverly. It is the stained glass that Ruth is pointing to. The two that I highlighted as applique, and over here in the corner, just behind Diane and Geraldine, those are all Mary Gins, and she's superb. Welcome to Georgetown.
Thank you.
While I'm asking people to move, I want to introduce my friend Diane Mnuchin, who donated the cookies upstairs. Have a few before you leave. Otherwise, we take them home. The name of the shop is Sweet Things. It's located in Haverhill on Merrimack Street. You should go. Judy Kalman Marshall, I knew where you were. Judy's back to town. Born and raised?
Yes.
Yes, in
No, I
Georgia.
wasn't born here. But
Not a townie, huh?
No, I wasn't conceived here.
Judy is back in town, and maybe when you were upstairs, you saw that beautiful yo-yo quilt in the back of the stacks. How many pounds of material?
40 yards.
40 yards.
Almost 5,000 yo-yos. And
And they're square, they're not round. Usually
and it
they're
was
round.
my second one. And I can't face another one. I bought material. I bought fabric to make a third one and couldn't face it.
So instead, she did the other one that's around the corner, the sea scene with the fish and then the pearls that make the bubbles. This is also Judy's. I hope you saw it and enjoyed it. Thank you. Pat Barlow. Are you back from your trip? I know you are. Here you are. Everybody said if we were going to do this show, we had to have Pat Barlow. And the reason is, just on that back wall, I bet you've all admired the cats. She is so brave, she does her hand quilting in black. You would usually do it in white, hoping nobody had noticed the skips. The pink one beside it, I think you said was a challenge quilt built.
It's a round robin quilt from Merrimack Valley Quilters. I made that center square, and then they passed it to another girl. I got lucky and got Valerie Kelly, who was a nationally known quilter, and she did the piece tulips around it. And then another lady from Andover, Pat Gall, who I didn't really know, did the outside border, and to me, that was the most work.
Yeah.
It's
lattice, it's hand quilted, and it's got the finish on it. It's beautiful. Also, these baskets.
These baskets, you probably a lot of you know Janet Jeroen, who used to live in town.
Janet Jeroen.
She gave me, when she was moving, she found 3 old antique quilts that were really in bad shape. And she didn't want to throw them away. She thought people could see them. So she gave them to me to show at Merrimack Valley Quilters. And I loved the pattern on that one, but I couldn't salvage any of the squares from that quilt, so I just copied it. And that was a challenge quilt from Mayflower Quilters in Rowley. They gave us, everybody, 4 fabrics, and we could add 2. And that's what I came up with. 4 fabrics under the baskets, and the other 2.
Thank you.
And I like the hand quilting.
The bravest woman in the room, where's Donna Clow? Donna's a brand new quilter. Both Terry and I had to beg to get Donna to put her quilts in this. She's fabulous. And when she brought them over, she brought me 3 I couldn't have. And I wanted those. She tends to do giveaway quilts, which is why we couldn't get all her quilts for the show. Donna rarely keeps anything.
Yeah.
You had intentions, as you say.
Yeah, the one upstairs I made for the show because I didn't have any that I could put in the show.
She's terrific, and we're going to make her be part of the group. The rest of us are of a certain age.
It's just a number.
Yeah, it is. Thank you. Sandra Goldberg, you come in yet? Yay! This is sort of a demonstration lesson. Sandra, come on up and say hi.
Without the demonstration.
Without a demonstration?
Not right now.
Oh, no. know, but I was worried we weren't going to have you at all. I didn't see you.
All right. How are you?
I am wonderful. Sandra, again, I believe is new to town, although a lot of the people know you, so maybe it's just that I don't.
They know me from all kinds of other things.
Other things. She is a silk artist. Those exquisite teal blue pieces back there are on silk and they are hand painted. And she is our second demonstration tonight. I wouldn't miss her. A little about your background as a quilter. I don't know you as well.
Well, I'm a silk artist, and I very rarely quilt, but I have some small pieces. And the thing I like most about it is the hand painting. And since I'm an island baby, most of my quilts and most of my artwork has something to do with the sea. And as part of my demo, I brought a fish to do. I'm very, very afraid of fish. So it's very strange that I do things like that. But I do love to paint on silk.
We're delighted you joined us.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sandra. Laurie's here. She's little. Where's Laurie Rose? Laurie, did you go over? I bet all of you know Laurie. Been in town for a long time, 35 years.
Not as long as a lot of people, but long enough.
She has a gorgeous sampler quilt upstairs as you come into the library and look left down the length of the stacks. It features reds, exquisitely done, beautifully pieced. And you have 2 quilting lives, here and in Florida.
I do, yes. An altar of life down there.
So we were delighted that she's a snowbird, so we're delighted she's here to be part of our show. Thank you.
I love to quilt. I entreat everybody to give it a try, something creative. It's a good outlet for you in any way you do it. Thank you.
Thank you. I gotta get Sandy Shower edited out. Come on up. Sandy is a quilt store owner. Come on up. This featured children tonight. Come on. Sandy owns the Quilted Acorn, which used to be in town over in the square. It's now in Newbury on Route 1. Is it Newbury or is it technically Newburyport? Newbury. And Sandy's quilts are quiet, calm, lovely colors. Just behind between Beverly and Mary, that lovely muted one over there. And some very gorgeous ones that are upstairs. They're lovely. She owns a quilt store. She gives lessons. If anybody's interested. Am I missing anything? Other than you've got to go and teach a class at this very minute. And I should have gotten her on faster. Thank you. I'm so glad you're part of us. Two more. Sue Clay. Some of you know Sue Clay from the high school. Have you just retired?
A couple of years ago.
Okay, more quilts the next show. Upstairs is a wonderful Halloween quilt, which you can tell is Halloween from the colors, but not necessarily from the motifs. It's gorgeous. And again, like Donna, we couldn't get many quilts away from her because you did yours
Yes,
away
I do.
as well. For the children?
Different people, different occasions.
She's an exquisite quilter. I'm glad to have her with us.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sandy. So, that's Sandy. Last but not least, my right hand was Beverly. Beverly came to bring me her quilts the first day that we hung them, and thank heaven she hung around. Being inexperienced, we had the very silly notion that we were going to put this whole quilt show up on the walls in one day. 5 days, and my husband was taller before we started. So,
Well,
Beverly, I don't believe that. Huh? Beverly came and stayed and hung and was absolutely invaluable, and then came back the next day and helped us again, and would have come even more so if needed. There are 3 of Beverly's quilts behind us: the purple fish, the star, and the hearts. And the big ones on either side of the desk upstairs, were they marvelous? Her. She likes roses. There's also a rose quilt
Yes.
in behind
On
those
the back.
stacks. You've only been doing this 40 years?
26 years.
26 years.
And I think, I fall into the newer generation. Those are lovely, turned applique. I probably could do a square or two, but I like strip piecing with Eleanor Byrne.
Yes,
You know,
throw it over your shoulders. rather
sew
than
the strips together, cut them up, put them back together. That's my way of doing things. And the pink courthouse steps is that way. The jewel box quilt is somewhat that way. And, well, the rose quilt, that's a 9-patch, but again, taking advantage of the size of the squares as opposed to the little piecing that some of you are doing.
But I love. Thank you, and thank you for all your help.
You're welcome, my pleasure.
Now, one last piece of information. The reason I say 12 quilters are represented, 11 quilters are here. Richard Keller called me a couple of weeks ago. And some of you may have known Judy Keller. You might know Richard because he has those trains in his basement. You might have known Judy because of the dollhouse upstairs. They were on the Historic House tour a couple of years ago. We lost Judy in 2006. And we have 6 of her quilts outside there, hand done, hand pieced and hand quilted. They are on 2 more of Rick Pilati's quilt racks. And tell them how you best remember your wife quilting.
Well, the best part of Judy's quilting was watching her layer the 3 layers with 3 cats involved.
A cat for each layer.
Yeah, a cat for each layer. And Judy worked for the airlines, and they share some truck driver language, so it was always a fun show.
However, no cat was ever harmed in the process. Thank you, Richard, for letting us show him. He is allowing us to keep him out in the lobby. We got our fingers crossed. We know this is a wonderful town and nothing's going to happen to him. They're gorgeous. We want to thank you for being so patient. The first demonstration lesson is going to happen right here. This is a log cabin block. Looks fairly simple, but wait till you see what Terry does with it. If you don't want to particularly see the log cabin at this moment, but you want to come back in half an hour, Sandra Goldberg will do the painting over here. And then the third piece will be back here again, and I'll show you how those hand-turned appliques are done. Please go upstairs and eat cookies. Please.
Yes.
That's an application.
If I turn them all exactly the same way.
Oh, up here, I just
Check out. It doesn't take a lot of turning. And then I have a pattern that I would call. Whoops. I got them all? Nope. Okay. Something like this. And I call that one shadow. This one made a nice diagonal pattern. And again, it's just turning the bone. And this one, I was going to hang up in my classroom. Here it's crosses. That's not the one. What is he doing? The crosses just look too pronounced to me. So I reversed them just by turning them. And it just came out more like a no, that's okay. So I called it it was St. Patrick's Day. So that's what I do with log cabin blocks. They're really not hard. Look at the patterns on the back. They're really not hard to sew. There are no fussy corners to cut off like when you put triangles or stars together. It's very, very simple. The most important thing is to have your strips
evenly matched.
And you press everything to the outside?
I did. I pressed them all up. I don't know. I don't think it would matter if you press them all.
So that's the one that's almost.
Somebody does.
Yes, exactly.
I'm not cutting each of these to blend. I'm sewing it onto what's there and then cutting it. And I'm sewing the next one like this one, sewing it to where there, and then cutting it. Yeah. My colors. If not, you have to do what we call frog. You take your little finger and go over it. That's frog.
But then the kid's idea, she sprays it.
Once you have sixth graders love playing. They actually came up with it's a great thing.
Secondhand
then they could play.
Yeah, I know, but Sandra.
Hey.
Spare time.
I did one quilt in my life, and that was enough for me.
Once you get this put together, you can see on these, it's not put together. So you have to bind it. What I did on that was I used that dark green as backing. I put a sandwich together, so I had my quilt backing. My dark green is right side facing the floor. Then my batting. Then my bugs in their windows facing up. And then I pin them all together. And then I take the edge of the fabric, I'll show you on this imprint. My back piece of fabric is cut wide. Then I fold it over the top. Now, with fleece, you don't have to do anything like that. Very seldom. With that one, I just turned it over zigzag stitched it all over. And the kids would have a lot of fun.
They have the guild come and all we do is
Ties?
the ties on it.
I put ties on I'll show you my son's quilt. I made him for college.
I started to get keep this up.
This is done with a different type of string. Where you sew strips of fabric together. And then you cut them. And then you cut strips together to make a block. And you have a white block. And when you hold it up, it's a double Irish string. See that? And what I did with the white squares was I wash my material. Wash it, then so wash it first, throw it in the dryer, really short, take it out, iron it. Then for the stenciling, I just went to the craft shop, I got a stencil of blueberry vines, very dry stencil brush. Not very much paper. Put the stencil on it, got fabric on it, wrote my wish, and then I take it to my bed, and then I put a piece of sheet over it, and that heat seals the paint in. And then to test it, I throw another square into one again. So, and I'm not sure that's what I always do. And so, quilting is like so those were my 17 wishes for college. Of all of those. I don't think he ever came home and met me.
Is that tied?
Right now it's tied because my coach never quite finished. And started and so I hope eventually that all of the white. And then I can use it. Yes.
Yes, that's right.
I've done it both ways.
Well, I've always done it in my lap.
I love it.
But I don't yes, I know they do. I know, and I had them around frame, but I don't when I was sitting in. No, because I have some on my back and now my hands
most of what I do is on the machine. Oh, I did. I loved it. But I have time.
The right color.
It's the right color, the right size.
Flies by though.
See, I did not get it when I was. Yes. You know, I was and I made for people that were lunchtime. I was cooked at lunchtime.
I have a friend that's all girl.
My hardest thing yet,
Absolutely. So, any questions about log cabins? You all agree it's a great one to do with kids? Yes, very easy. They can take a lot of pride in it. That's the goal.
Maybe you could have something in your lobby.
So, I'm Sandra, and I'm a silkaholic.
Hi, Sandra.
Yeah. All right. As I said before, most of my designs, or at least I like to think of them, are sea-based, ocean-based. These were done like this is, then cut out, padded, and then I used gold crayons, oil pastel, all kinds of other things that are probably not exactly kosher for quilters, but I do it. Now what I've done here, I work with something called resist. This is a water-based resist, which is also called Gouda. And I use clear for some things, and it also comes in gold, which I'll be using soon. Now, I did not cheat. I made this at home so that it would be dry when I got here. Because if the Gouda is terribly wet, you don't want to see what happens.
You paint the whole thing with Gouda?
I paint as if you were drawing with a pencil.
Okay, you went over your.
You do the design. And what you have to remember is that if there's a hole, the die will find it. No matter how tiny it is, it will find it and all hell will break loose. So I have to and that's not to say that I didn't leave a hole, because I usually do. So I brought only sea colors because this is going to be the beginning of my new sea quilt. I guess I forgot I'm blind. And basically, I've taught a lot of silk classes. I teach teenagers silk painting. I just finished some at NECO for College for Kids. And basically, you hold the brush upward and you don't go on the line. You see how it spreads? I'm a little shaky. You notice how it spreads without my having to get terribly close? And you also notice that this is a really tiny tip. And it is coming out the holes.
When you did your drawing,
But that's
did
okay.
you use a regular pencil to draw?
No,
or
I
did you use
used
a rotary?
I used one of the pencils that disappears when it gets wet. Is that what it's called?
That's what they use when you're drawing for embroidery. It fades out afterwards.
Okay. Oh. I had too much sugar upstairs.
And you're talking to the lady that made the cookies.
Okay. I won't say anymore.
Now, what's the purpose of the Gouda? Just to draw the design? Or is that going to resist
No, it
the paint?
serves, it's called resist.
Resist.
It resists one color from going into another color.
Okay.
It's like wax
Okay.
resists on batik.
Okay.
All right?
Got it. It's like a track.
Yeah.
Got it.
Now I'm going outside the line, really, on purpose. And if you believe it, I have a bridge.
Even though it bleeds somewhat,
It
it doesn't
bleeds.
bleed into the next color you want to put down.
It does.
because
If
of the
there's
Gouda.
a hole in the Gouda,
Oh,
it will.
wow.
I'm
Okay.
taking water, and I'm pretending that that was my idea all the time. To have it be like this. It's not going to ruin anything. I have no set.
Is that just acrylic paint?
No, this is French cold water dyes.
Oh.
Yes. This is iron set
Got
dyes. When I do large installations and things, I have my card here so you can go to my website and see what I do in real life when I'm not doing this. And my last big commission was a hotel in Puerto Rico, the lobby, and I made, the artwork for the lobby was 7,000 small silk pieces. Resisted, dyed, cut, sewn, and installed in 8 glass cases, 6 feet by 6 feet.
And you did all of it?
Yeah. Well, I farmed out some.
Wow.
I farmed out a little bit, but the design was mine, the idea was mine.
Michelangelo did the same.
I know, I know, but I don't like to admit it.
So do you have a background in art?
I studied costume design and dress design. My designs were in vogue when I was 20.
Oh, wow.
And from there it was downhill all the way.
You did better than I did.
You're very
I
humble.
designed textiles and now I make cookies.
I did that too when I lived in New York.
That
Yeah,
was good, Diane.
that was very good.
It's still
Hey,
weird.
You do both with art, Diane.
I do all kinds of things that I'm not proud of, too. Like teaching kids.
I missed what you drew the fish on with.
I didn't. I brought that from home, but it's this.
Oh, okay.
It's resist.
Okay.
Are you going to look over my shoulder?
I'm looking over your shoulder,
yes. Alrighty then.
What kind of silk do you use?
I use crepe de chine, 12 mummy. Yeah, I always paint on silk. And I teach kids to paint on silk. I've done a workshop here for kids. And I might have another one because I just got another grant to teach here from the, see now I'm putting in another color. And it's really hard to do a demo on this because I add so many different layers and so many different things to get it to look like what you're seeing there. This is kind of the basics of what happens.
You have to wait for each stage to dry before you do the next one?
Mostly the resist has to dry, but it's not totally necessary if you know what you're doing, which I like to think I do.
Why do you hate so much fish?
Why do I like fish?
No, I told you every day.
It's good therapy.
I have no idea.
It's good therapy.
I have no idea. Shrinks would have a ball. But if you throw a goldfish on me, that's it. I'm dead. I'm dead right there. However, I'm not afraid so much of sharks. Because the sharks have a different skin. The slimy, icky, scaly fish are the ones I don't like. And I've swum with dolphins, so that's... And I've gone snorkeling. I just have never gone fishing. I was married to a fisherman, and I used to pray that he didn't catch me.
Hanging on one of the rails?
I haven't been able to go in the water since I shot up.
Oh.
I get up to my knees and I hear that music.
Oh, no. You're missing a great thing. I just got back from Puerto Rico, and there's amazing snorkeling, which is where I'm from. I'm from Puerto Rico. So you get the idea. You do resist, then you paint within it. You make it look a little bit watercolory, or you make it look like paint by numbers, very rigid. Like, for instance, I used, I don't remember which one, but I'm going to use this one. And
These are actually fabric dye?
Fabric dye. See, I'm going to go over what I did to add another color and make it a little bit more watercolory. Because I like that sort of batik look. Now, on the other end of the spectrum are different effects that you can do. That's fire.
Touch right there.
What?
I just want to
Oh, it's the
feel the texture.
12 it's crepe de chine. It's really lovely, and it drapes beautifully. I do too.
She's busy on her latest art creation.
Now here I use sort of a watercolor technique. And I don't know how many of you have ever done watercolor, but have you ever put salt on watercolor?
What?
Salt?
Yeah. Throw salt.
All right. I don't know whether we'll be here long enough for you to see the result of this, but you see it on my quilt over there. That if you...
It causes this.
It causes...
Salt.
That is table salt. I use dyeing salt. I use kosher salt. I use sea salt. I only brought 2. And each of them has a different effect. And then to move it along, I take a little bit of dye and I don't touch it. I just touch next to it. Because if you touch on it and get it into your dye, it kind of ruins the dye. You see how it's already making little, and I also do all kinds of effects with water, even alcohol. So it's, I spray alcohol. No, that's what I drink when it doesn't come out well. No, we drink the vodka. No, I don't drink, but sometimes when I do this, I wish I did. All right, so we're going to use a little bit of gold. ¿Comprende? ¿Habla español? Oh, no, we're not close. Okay, it would be good. Nobody saw that.
I do that all the time.
Nobody saw that. I'm so used to having them already open. You edit that out.
You can't imagine what's wrong.
Exactly. So I figured if I
It does blob, but sometimes it's kind of the charm.
It's gorgeous.
No. No, acrylic paint will make the silk stiff. This is as if you bought a scarf. And for quilting, I don't wash out the resist. There's no reason to wash it out. This sets with an iron. You just iron it on the wrong side for quite a while until you get tired, and it works. If you were going to use it as a scarf, then you would wash out the resist and hope that it doesn't run, because a lot of these things, even if they're set, they run, which is really sad after you put a lot of work into it.
I'll make more and I'll wrap it up.
I don't think I know.
I know.
Program a few years ago.
You should be of interest. You should be pleased with that. Well, yeah,
I wonder if I would give
Oh, and you can do all kinds of things. I'm going to start, I think I'm going to start working with someone who sells fabric for quilters and make some silk fabrics for her. Some fat quarters, is that the proper? I had to learn what that was. I thought it was just me in the mirror.
You can do it that soon after
Ideally, no, but this is less gooey than the Gouda, so I take a chance.
The gold is the same thing.
Exactly the same thing. This is more expensive. It comes in black, gold, silver, and copper.
Does it stay shiny when it's dry?
It does. It can't be dry clean.
And you still have to iron set that?
It's not a Gouda that your iron's low, that's the dye.
Was the last
And you notice that I hold the brush upright rather than what you would do if you were painting. You would do it like this. You do it like this so that it would travel. So, any questions? I don't want to bore you to death.
Have you used anything other than silk?
No, never. Never. In fact, my daughter and I have been taking part in craft shows. And I'm wetting this with just water because I want to do like a watercolor effect. And what would happen is, I'll get my And you can see how this would be great for quilting. Because you can make your, instead of using all those little tiny pieces of stuff, you could do this and cut it out and smack it on that quilt.
I want to do one that's just you know, just put the big piece of fabric up there.
Okay. See what's happening? Look how quickly. And it becomes like starry night. It's just gorgeous. And you can see how much I like it for sea effect, because to me that's a reef. And those are the little fishies. And I mean, it's just great. Wow, right?
So the different size grains of salt create different...
Two different things. Yeah, and I only brought 2 kinds. So. As I started to explain to you, I've never worked on anything but silk, but my daughter and I took part in a craft show, and I'm going to make some banners for the outside of the tent, and I'm going to do it in cotton for the first time. So that's a little scary.
Well, it's not the paint the dyes will not do the same thing.
Well, they might. I don't know. I've heard from a lot of dyers that work in silk that it just depends what you do.
I was thinking maybe like a very fine.
I don't see why not. For light linen. I don't see why not.
Just experiment.
Yeah. I'm thinking of doing it. Yes. If you are serious about this, there's a place called Dharma Training. DHARMA. I don't. I get them from the same place I get my silk.
Dharma Trading.
They have them, but they're more expensive. And I buy in bulk because when I teach a class, everyone makes a scarf.
Here's your next class.
It might be here. It might be through the library. I've gotten a grant from the LLC to do a class, and I'm going to put my recent plan and talk to you about it. We've decided not to do it in the summer because everyone has so much to do. I have business cards. Any questions? My email is on there.
I don't have too many. No, I'm and I'm just getting
So, any questions? So, you all might recognize this face, because I might be using it for my next book. Okay. Thank you.
Figured being the last one tonight, I'm going to make it more interactive so you don't have to just sit staring glassy-eyed. To start, where's my right-handed man here? Take a look at this, and then I'm going to show you different motifs in it. Hi there.
World War II.
This is what we're about. This is
My son got to put white leaders like under the kids.
now, a couple of things about it, and then as I show you the parts and pieces, this is not as hard as it looks. It looks overwhelming. But take it in pieces. See the squares? You just do this much at a time and sit with your husband and say, yes, dear, the Celtics are so excited.
It's the other way around.
But I'm keeping it yeah. Okay, he says be louder. He never tells me that. He usually tells me not to be close. The central ones are all 16 by 16, and you do those first. But you only do one at a time. You would never try and lay the whole thing out at once. Just one at a time. Then when you get it done and get your center together, you do the panels. So the centers are Roseville vases, but believe me, they're not your mother's Roseville vases. And that's the name of the quilt, not your mother's Roseville vases. The side pieces are birds, and these were the most fun to do, so I'm going to show you birds tonight. There are birds over there too. Now before I show you, look at how a bird is done. See all the different pieces? I don't like quiet fabric, do I? So here's a piece that makes his neck, a different piece on top for his wing, one for the tail. The cat's done the same way. Then on the bottom, all the animals, and these are very easy. It's just like a coloring book. You take that simple shape, and you get a horse or a dog or a cat or a...
Did you design this?
No, the quilter is Kim McLean. She's from New Zealand and she's part Maori. And I see her folky influences. So there's your pieces, and you know what? I'll just put it over that table. Well, the back, because the front is so busy, you do the back. Very simple. Now the reason I didn't hang this, I want you all to cross your fingers, is this is going in the Low Images Quilt Show tomorrow. It got accepted. I don't know how it's going to do, but it got accepted.
That's the show.
So, if you would put it on the table and make a car over it, I don't do that. Well,
All right, make sure that table's clean.
yeah, that's true. There was paint. Okay, now this you are quite welcome to touch, and let's think about how we put this together. I'm trying to show you the easy way. If you were an expert, you could just cut them out and turn the pieces under with no assistance at all. I'm getting there, but I've been doing this particular quilt for 2.5 years. I need a crutch. So when I first started, I cut the templates out of plastic, drew the shapes, added 1/4 inch all the way around. It's the turn under. My attempts looked shaky all along the edge. They weren't smooth. So then I went to freezer paper. And freezer paper is your friend. It's cheap. It has a shiny back surface. So you can cut out each of these little pieces, iron it to the back of your cloth, and then when you're sewing, it kind of turns right on that. It gives you an edge to turn on. Well, it's stiff, and the first couple of pieces still have paper behind it, and I don't like the way it feels. So my next step this is Pellon. If you're a sewer, if you do dresses and blouses, that kind of thing, the lightest weight Pellon you can get your hands on. And then just school glue. But you gotta think in reverse. So here's a way that you could do it. If you're looking at this bird, you're gonna cut him out in pieces. You're gonna take the part that goes all the way in the back first. And this wing on the top is not the one that's all the way in the back. Nor is that one. It's here, but even the crown tucks underneath, the tail tucks under. You've got to start from the back. To give you a different example, here's another one. You got to do the stem because it's under everything. Then you can lay the things on top as they go, stack them up. Okay? Here's another example. The stem goes down first, then you'd sew this piece on. I'm going to do this, now this one is sewn down, I forgot where I was. Then this goes over it. See, I don't like quiet cloth, it's very noisy. This will go on the top. So you have to think, what do I do? Which step? What do I do?
The paper's permanent, it stays, you don't take it off the back?
This, because it's so lightweight, can stay in. And the other thing you can do, Sandy, is, so it won't be so stiff, see how the middle is cut out of it? So it's on the edge, and I can use the edge to turn it, but it's not bulky in the middle. So that was like first iteration, second, third, now I'm doing this.
Is that the iron-on Pellon?
You can use the iron-on Pellon, either that or glue, whatever you like. They both work very well. Now, how to do your piece. If you're going to cut out the pieces, might as well use them to figure out where the fabric goes. So if you take and I love these busy patterns, he's probably got an eye, so I can move them around and see if I can find a piece that looks like an eye. It's going to kill you at first to cut into the middle of cloth, but quilters who do this kind of work eventually get Swiss cheese, and you just do it. Now, anybody see an eye in here? Ah, my niece sees an eye. Okay. She's right. Right? See his eye?
Yeah, this one right there.
Okay, yeah. I could be more focused on trying to get down his back, looking for something that looks like texture. But doing it with the leftovers helps you move it around. Now, if you're not doing this, if you're doing the great big vases that went in the Roseville vases, you do know that quilters have a stash and it's extensive and we hunt cloth, but if that's going to be my vase, do I want the pattern in the middle? Helia's going to do this someday. Helia, lay it out flat. Where's your vase going to go? Where do you like it? It's pretty right there. Okay, she's deliberately set it offside. It's her taste. That's what she's going to do. So you could draw your shape, or you could use the piece you cut out of here, which is the Pellon, glue it up. Now the thing is, you've got to put it on the back, because it'll get glued back here, and then you can lay it over with your needle as you work. Is that making sense? Yeah. So, here, I invite those of you who are within reach. I'm going to pull pins. We have 3 birds. If you look back at your diagram, the next thing you're going to need, and this is the phase where you play with it, you're going to need to put the big wing on and then another one on top of this. Bruce, come up here for a minute. Come up, Bruce. Come on. You can come right through underneath Mr. Mendez's camera. Okay. You want to come through here? All right, we got to take one wing and put it on one bird, and these are the biggest wings. What one goes on what bird? What do you want to put? This one there, this one there. What do you like? No mistakes, because we can move them. Just choose one and put it down. Helly, you want to do one? Sure. All right, she's got one. You do one. Okay, a little higher, because see that curve right there? See the curve on the edge? Up a little more. See him fit right in there? Okay, now you both got to pick a wing.
Pick a wing.
A wing. On top of that.
Another one.
That's the same size. Here's the smaller one. No, huh? This is exactly what you do. You cut it out and you look at, I don't like that one. I wish I'd thought of another one. Sometimes you end up with 3 birds, none of which, okay, now he's going to, see this right here? He fits right inside that one, so he's going to sit right down on top. Okay, now let's look at a couple of things we learned before you go away. This one, see how that very carefully had a shape in there that already looked pretty good? Now you're covering it up. So you get to know these things. Don't waste all your time designing the one that's underneath and finding just the best piece, because the one on top is the one that's going to show. That's where you want your best. Yeah. See, you're moving them back and forth, working them out. Now, once you've got this done, you brave? Anybody that wants to try can try. We use Milner's needles, and they're long. And the reason that we do it is because it can kind of pull that cloth underneath right in for you. See how effortlessly I can... See that shape come in? I'm not having to do anything. The needle's doing it. You stroke it underneath, and it pulls that shape right in for you. Anybody who wants, grab one. You can do it with a pin, you can do it with a needle.
I'll try it. I'll give it to this one.
And if you don't have a needle and we're desperate, we can use pins. But if you just pinch it, so you're holding it down and it isn't moving, and then kind of stroke, if you want to watch for a little, just stroke with that needle until it starts to tuck right in there. This is freezer paper because I was being cheap. I've gone to Pellon now. It's softer, I don't have to take it out. You go all around. Well, you just do, actually, if you just take it and tuck it in just a little, that's enough to get a stitch on there.
Oh, I've done that.
So if you want to thread some needles, it almost looks like invisible thread. I used to use silk, and I'm tough on it. When I pull, the silk snaps. This is Superior thread. It's a polyester, and I know some people don't like polyester, but I can really pull on it. The reason they don't like polyester is if you quilt on top, like Kat Barlow's gorgeous one over there, see all that quilting on top? They're kind of afraid of the polyester wearing on the cloth and splitting it. Because I'm not using it to quilt, I'm using it to nail something down. I don't have quite that problem. Now, anybody want some thread? The needles are... The thread and the needle is the hard part.
Now, does that have a, you know, like with cotton thread, you have to use always one end?
All right.
Does it have a...
The question she's asking is how to thread it. Whenever you're threading a needle, and if you want to do it just as a matter of habit, so you're always used to it, take the end that's coming off the spool, put it through your needle. The way it's turned, that's going to give you the least resistance going through the needle. So if you put this one right through the eye, and then cut the other end and put your knot.
I give you another.
Other end. Who's?
Can I give you another hint? In sewing.
If you just remember to
No,
thread
everybody
it.
wets the end of the thread.
Yeah,
No,
and twist.
No.
What?
Wet the end of your needle with the eyers.
Yeah, and it
Saliva
follows
helps
it through. I've heard that, but it doesn't work for me. Diane's suggestion is
Every time.
put the needle on your tongue and the saliva will pull it
just
through.
wet it.
Anybody else wanting to stitch?
Yeah, I do it on my sewing machine too. Same thing.
What I will do, instead of threading the needle,
It goes right
I
through.
needle the thread.
Tell me about that. I need to know this.
What I do is I take the thread and I fold it into a sharp crease around the needle.
Oh, okay.
And then I lay the head of the eye of the needle onto the thread.
Yep.
So I'm
This is what she
threading
means. Make a loop like this, pull it
on the needle.
on the needle, and it'll make on a needle instead of a
crease.
pencil, it'll
Right.
make a crease.
And then you
put the
lay
crease
your
through.
needle on the thread. So you're needling the thread instead of threading the needle. That works well with like embroidery floss.
Yeah, I was gonna say DMC.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
The thinner the thread, the better chance you're going to have of making it obscure when you're stitching. If we go back to go here, you shouldn't, if you're good, after a while, you shouldn't see the big floppy stitches all around the edges. They should, I'm sorry, did I knock something over? They should disappear so that you don't see them. You can, if you want, slip a little something underneath if you want it to be fat and puffy. And I tried it here to see how I liked it. Instead of using Pellon for these two and these leaves, I used, have you ever used the fusible fleece that you make pocketbooks with? It looks a little bit like flannel. So I glued that on the back to see how I liked it if I wanted it to be puffy. Another option. There is also Pellon that is water soluble. So if you wanted, you could use the water soluble underneath, stitch it down, put your square in warm water for about 10 minutes and it'll dissolve and it won't be there at all. However, I use so many colors, most of them reds and oranges, I'm afraid of it running. So I've never submerged it, and I don't think I'm gonna. How you doing? Is that working for you? Or
I can't see.
you can't see? You really, I work at home with a light right over my shoulder. And my eyes are getting worse and worse.
Betty, what do you do when you get to the point? Do you fold this one over the other?
Yep. With the point, yes. When you come down one side, then it comes out to a point like a bunny ear. Then you fold it under
Before
again.
you finish one side, you fold the other one under.
Yep, you reach it, you fold it. Before you get there, you fold it under. Now, two things when you're hand stitching like this, concave, convex. I never could remember which is which. But an outside curve like this, you don't need to do any clipping. If you've been going down the side, it's probably laying right under for you, isn't it? Pretty well.
Yeah.
However, when you get to this point in the heart, in the middle, I have scissors somewhere, but I've probably long since. You want to clip it. And if you're not used to it, look from the other side. You're going to clip down to where the paper is in this case, or the Pellon is. That'll let you tuck it right under on both sides. So anything that curves smoothly to the outside will go under all by itself, it'll behave. But if it's got to meet like this, it's easier if you clip it, and then it'll go in. Still having trouble?
You'll have private lessons.
Yeah, we have troubles.
We have troubles.
We have troubles right here in River City. Okay, let's come up underneath. I buried the knot in the okay. You want to work with one thread because it's hard enough to disguise one and one two. So we'll do single thread. See if I can get you going, Helly. Just stroke it under. What else do you want to know? If you okay, here we go.
How long did it take to make that quilt?
Well, to break it down, the individual squares, if I worked on it every night, it took me a 7-day week, you know, watching TV at night to do all
One
parts
square.
and pieces for one square.
Yeah.
The entire quilt, because I didn't work on it morning, noon, and night, and of course I had times when I didn't work on it at all. Here, see if it'll keep going for me now. Got an extra piece. The entire thing took 2.5 years. And there's always that period when you get very close to the end of it and you start to become Judy knows. You start to become a train engine. I gotta get this. And all of a sudden all the pleasure is beginning. You know, it's just a matter of, yeah.
Betty, do you wash your fabric before you use it?
I don't, and there's all kinds of thinking about that. This is K-Facet fabric, and those of us who do applique have gotten all kinds of engaged with this man from England who does all these wonderful patterns. His has been washed, and look at you. You need your glasses or you need a nice light. And I think it did work for you up until then, it just caught on you. He, in his process of dyeing, does it so many washings that this stuff is all right. Red, I probably would wash because the dye in the red it'll come out on you. The other thing is I don't throw cloth out. If you were up in my sewing room and looked underneath my sewing table, I have bags of the littlest snips. It's true. It's true. She does. She does. My sister will tell you, my niece will tell you. But look, don't throw it out.
Yeah.
You're gonna need them. You know, and it's just as easy to look at a brand new piece of cloth to get these pieces. But for the little ones, I just go to my scrap bag for all the little guys. In the process of working on things, as I say, I went through all kinds of phases. I made plastic templates. I made, you know, and then after a while I realized that I was cutting them out, putting them on the cloth, tracing around them, then, you know, there was... Incidentally, you work from what almost looks like cartoons. That's the panel up the side, and we were playing with, I think he's on here. Is this, yeah, here he is. That was the one bird that you've been playing with. It's a learning process. What'd you say? That's the one you were working on right there. Yeah, well, there's several birds. See, he's easy. This one doesn't have so many pieces. He's a bird body, then you put a tail, a wing, and a crown, and you're done. That one's much easier.
So how do you get from there on the plastic?
How do you get
it, that pattern on the plastic?
This.
You just put it over and you trace it?
Yeah, you put a whole block in you. But you know what, Sandy, I don't do this anymore at all. I do it, I put the Pell on, I lay the Pell on right on and use on a light box, and use a pencil or a Sharpie.
Oh, okay.
And then cut things apart. Because this seems like one extra step that I don't need to do anymore. And cutting it out of the Pellon gives me the backing to put on the back of him. Yeah. Now if you're really just starting and you don't feel like you can get smooth edges, I just run the Elmer's glue along the edge and hand turn it right under. It's a little harder to stitch through, but it's not impossible if you're using a small needle. And it's all turned for you. It's another method.
So the Pellon is always smaller than the fabric.
The Pellon is
always about 1/8 of an inch smaller than the fabric.
Yes. And it almost goes the other way. For instance, if I cut that squirrel out, I'd paste him on the back of the cloth, then I'd cut all around him using an 1/8 to 1/4 inch seam allowance. It's a little easier than trying to do needle turned applique with no basis underneath to turn against. And if you colored when you were a kid and you liked coloring books, that's what it is. What color shall I make his wing? I still go back to the color wheel. If I'm going to use red, what's the opposite? What's the complementary to try and get those colors to look good together? But Any other?
Then the pattern, where do you get the pattern? Do you have to
This,
go to Staples or-
this one, this, you can find them online. Here's a website, and if you want, there's some cards there, if anybody's got a pencil, you can put it on the back. gloriousapplique.com is a bunch of British pattern makers that work in this way, and they're all on a website you can send for them. Quilt stores will have these. You kind of hunt them to see which ones you like. You may borrow mine. She lives across the street. I know where she lives.
That was my next question.
I could get them back. So, I think we're getting to the point where Ruth is going to want us to move along. If you haven't had a chance to do the loop, no, she won't put us out till 8.
Oh.
So you got a little bit of time. But she's on alone, and she's going to have to close the place down. So, if you can maybe get one more quick tour.
When is the Lowell show?
The Lowell show is the 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th. The Marianne Fawns and Mary Fawns are going to be there. Yeah, it's at the Lowell Memorial Auditorium. It's not at the Songbus. Don't go to the wrong place. I want to thank all of you for turning out. We've never done anything like this before. We're so glad you came.
Would yelling so we can see how the
I don't think I dare ask my husband this close to.
right over there.
Yeah, but ask him to hang another show in a year. I don't think I would dare to ask him to do that.
When do the quilts come out? How long are the quilts in there?
All the quilts, Ruth has said that it took such an effort to put the quilts up, she would like us to keep them here longer. Bless her heart. So we've been offered 2 months. They're going to hang for 2 months. And behind that, Mary Paganelli is going to hang an art show.